there's so many ways that audiences are consuming content generally that a good story well told isn't really enough. You need to give audiences something that they really feel like they're not going to get anywhere else, that they haven't seen before. It can be a familiar subject matter. It can be a story that maybe has been told before, but it needs to be offering something new. It needs to be head-turning in some way.
Maybe could you tell us a little bit about the offerings that you have and kind of what does a successful package look like ultimately?
A successful package is a movie that sees itself to the screen through whatever journey that individual movie takes. Currently we have packages we introduced ahead of the marketplace that are having filmmakers meet with financiers around the clock today. We have a number that buyers are circling to take on a worldwide basis, and others that are selling either domestically, and a number of projects that are selling off promos, both domestically and internationally, and a lot of engagement across. I think once The Sun came out, I think a lot of the international sales agents too felt like there's a lot of action here at this festival.
Mm-hmm. Maren, what about you? You guys are here with Power Ballad, of course. Tell us a little bit about this project and how you think it's looking and why this might be a good project for market now.
Yeah, well, we're really happy with the process so far. This is something that is already in production, so we really bet on the movie well before the market. So we came into this market to actualize the sales that we were expecting to happen, and but we weren't using this market to finance the movie, which I think is a really important distinction between many of the packages that are here. A lot of films are obviously coming here to get financed, whereas Power Ballad's already 2 weeks into shooting, and we took that bet. And I think that as a financier, we are always looking for ways to collateralize the movies that we are getting behind. But when we see something that's really undeniable, we're not necessarily going to wait for the market to move forward with it. So we're really happy being here as something that is a sure thing. I think that makes a real difference in how it's considered by distributors. And we looked at a lot of other things, kind of along the lines of what Daniel said ahead of the market. There were a number of packages that came our way, and it'll be interesting to see how they sell here and sort of what point they get to, and frankly, how it affects our consideration of them on the other side of the market.
Same question that I asked to Yale, though. What are the elements that make a great package, do you think, at the moment?
I think it's really important to be distinctive. I think that, there's so many ways that audiences are consuming content generally that a good story well told isn't really enough. You need to give audiences something that they really feel like they're not going to get anywhere else, that they haven't seen before. It can be a familiar subject matter. It can be a story that maybe has been told before, but it needs to be offering something new. It needs to be head-turning in some way. That can be in the storytelling itself. That can be in the director's vision. That can be in the performance of the actor. But I think that that's a really critical piece. That's something that we take really seriously when we're considering material. Where does this fit? And do audiences want to spend their time and their money actually going out to a theater to see it? We're a really theatrically driven company. We are, when we get involved in something, we typically are certain that there is a version of the movie that will succeed in theaters. And that's not to say that we won't do a streaming movie. We absolutely would. But the calculation, I think, is really similar because streamers are also looking for that head-turning, basically theatrically driven movie that they're just going to release on their platform. So I think that it's really important to have something that is, it can't be good. It has to be great. And I think that also goes for the director and talent package. It has to be something that, there aren't 3 other movies in the market with the same actor. It's got to be something that feels unique and distinctive and fresh.
Daniel, from an international sales perspective, and I know you said you don't, you're here with Kevin Costner's movie Horizon, but when you are approaching product to sell, how much of the titles that you take on are you looking in terms of, you want this eventually to end up in a theatrical distribution pattern?
Also from our side, we just relaunched 12 months ago, so we formulated our strategy exactly before the last Cannes market. But overall, what we also saw from the distributors is that at the moment there's really a way back to the windowing. So people really want to exploit as many windows as possible. So the theatrical, interestingly, which is I would say a very, very nice development, is really becoming again more and more important to promote the film. So obviously with Horizon is a different kind of thing, so that is such a big budget, so it has to be out there. But also for other films, for us it's very important so that with our films that we are looking at is that there's really a theatrical value out there so that we really can decide what's the audience for the movie and that the movies not just go maybe straight to a streamer.
Kent, for you as a distributor, what are the key things you need, key distributor, indie distributor in the domestic market? What are these things that you need to be able to push a film out into cinemas and make it worth your while in such a tough, expensive market?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that cast remains extremely important. It's important, I think, for audiences. It legitimizes the movie. They become a built-in publicity engine by doing appearances, going on talk shows, and helping to raise awareness and interest in the movie. But then there's a more elusive quality, which is theatricality. And one of the great things, after doing this for, Bleecker has been around for 10 years, and there's been, a lot of, people pulling their hair out about the death of the theatrical release, and it's not important anymore, and people just want to watch things on streaming. And as we've come out of the pandemic, it's become increasingly clear that that's just not true. Mm-hmm. That the theatrical, yes, it's not what it was 5 years ago. It's went from an $11 billion business in the U.S. to a $9 billion business. But let's remember, $9 billion is still a lot of money, and there's a lot of people going to the movies. And what's become even more clear is that without the theatrical release, people don't take the movie seriously. That the bottom has fallen out of people engaging with movies on streaming, people renting films that have little to no theatrical release on Apple or Amazon. And so you can see that things are really starting to look up as theatrical becomes maybe not the largest revenue driver, but sort of one of essentially the most important way to make a movie feel like a movie to its audience. So that theatricality, of course, there's a lot of nuance to it. I think some of the things that Maren touched on what makes a good package are what makes a good theatrical release, which is it's got to be original, it's got to stand out, there has to be some urgency for audiences to want to actually leave their house to go see it. And that can be a lot of things, but originality is certainly one of the most important things.